Okay, good morning. I hope you can hear me if I just speak this loud maybe. But nobody wants to sit front row? Well, okay. Okay, well, good morning. I hope you all had a nice breakfast and got some coffee and are ready to hear about our project. We've been looking forward to presenting it for you. And as Carsten said, it's about design thinking in the Metaverse. And we have a few things we would like to go over today. First up is just a brief introduction to the two of us. Then we have our main goal for the project, a few definitions, and then we just jump into our key findings. And I think we will also have time for questions from you guys if you have any. So about us, my name is Mette, and I am studying innovation and entrepreneurship. And I also have an AP degree in service hospitality and tourism management, and also have a background working in sales and marketing.
Yeah, and my name is Andreas, and I have the same educational background as Mette. And before that, I was a manager in volunteering and also in the nightlife. So, overall, the goal for the project. In this project, we have stated as a possibility instead of a problem statement that you usually do in a bachelor project. And we're looking into Innohow, who is a consulting firm working with design thinking and helping other businesses do innovation work and change management. So we're looking into how can Innohow scale their business using the Metaverse. And before we start, we would like to do a few definitions just so that everybody know what we are talking about and we're on the same page, as you're saying Danish. Yeah, the definition of the Metaverse can be fluffy and very hard for some people to understand. McKinsey defines it as an emerging 3D enabling digital space where you can use extended technology to allow people to have a lifelike personal experience. And for some people, this is like, in other words, it's a transformation of the internet we know today. Today, we are very much looking from a distance on the screen. In the new internet, you will be a part of the internet, so you can use your hands, you can look around, you can be much more participating. It will be much more engaging than the normal internet we are used to know. And this will affect everything, from dating, from online meetings, from doing design thinking, and so on. Yeah.
Yeah. When talking about the Metaverse, I would also like to just say a few things about design thinking. It's an innovation process consisting of these 5 stages: emphasize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. And it's a very iterative process, so you can jump through the stages like again and again, and in different
iterations.
Yeah, iterations, thank you. And also one thing is that it's very user-centric, so you have that in mind throughout every stage, and you are allowed to test a lot of things and fail fast and get a lot of learnings when you work with design thinking. Yep. So we are just jumping into our key findings, I think, and for the project, by answering our possibility formulation, we have also created some sub-questions, which we will go into here.
Yeah, and the first is, where is the Metaverse today and how mature is the technology? And to have a look at this, we're using the diffusion of innovation theory. This is a way to describe how innovation is adopted by the market. So before you can reach mass market, you have to convince the innovators and the early adopters to buy a product. So when you have something brand new, just like the Metaverse or virtual reality, you have to get some people, some techie people who will spend more money than usually on new technology. So in that way, they can then do so the early adopters can see, okay, other people are using the Metaverse. Now I'm feeling a bit more safe about maybe investing in the Metaverse, and so on, until you reach the early majority and late majority. As we predict today, the Metaverse is around innovators, early adopters. So we have had the first key experience. Some people are finding actually value in using the Metaverse, and now they are convincing a lot of other people and businesses to try out this new form factor. Yeah, and there's still a lot of uncertainties, and these uncertainties are shaping the Metaverse as we know it and as we will get to know it in the future. And the Copenhagen Institute for Future Studies had laid out 4 future scenarios, and they are based on an open and closed and separate and uniform scale. So in the perfect world, we will have a free, open Metaverse that everybody can join, just like the internet today. It's not owned by any private company. It will be a decentralized Metaverse. On the other hand, we have still an open but separate metaverses. This would be more for the nerds, kind of like we see today. So there will be a barrier. You have to have some technology experience or some hardware to enter the metaverse. So this would not be anything for the mass market. It will be a layer on top of the normal internet as we know it. On the other hand, we have one metaverse to rule them all. And this will be if one private company succeeds in making their own metaverse and get everybody to join it, just like we're seeing Mette, the Facebook company, is trying today. So it will be one metaverse but ruled by a private company. On the other hand, we have more private companies fighting against having the best metaverse. This is just like we see on social media today. We have Facebook on one hand and TikTok on another hand. These are two private dominated social media, but they cannot interact with each other. So yeah, at the moment there's a lot of uncertainty on how the metaverse will unfold. If we get the free open metaverse, this could change the internet and just completely wipe out the old internet as we know it. In some of the other scenarios, it could be more a layer on top of the internet we know today. Yeah, if we look at McKinsey, they are expecting that in 5 years, US customer will spend around 3.7 hours in the metaverse. So just in 5 years, a lot of people will spend a lot of hours in the metaverse. There will be some difference according to your age. On the other hand, we have the Gartner hype cycle. They're predicting where emerging techs are today, and they place the metaverse right here. And they say that it will be more than 10 years before the metaverse will be mass adopted by the market. So there's different approaches and different, nobody really knows how it will go to evolve in the next coming years. Yeah.
Jumping into what we've actually tried to test out in our project. So how can we combine design thinking and metaverse? So a different question we have looked into is, what would a design thinking process look like in the metaverse?
Yeah.
So we've created a prototype called the Innoverse 1.0, which is a contraction between InnoHow, which is the consultancy company we're working with, and Metaverse. So we've had the consultancies going through our prototype and testing it out, and we've had 4 key factors we've been figuring out is essential for doing design thinking in the Metaverse. So first up, the Metaverse must be an add-on and not a substitute for a traditional design thinking process. So you can't just take it and put it into the online or virtual world and then expect it to create value. You have to be sure to create something that gives another layer. We have found that especially the prototype phase of the design thinking process is very valuable to create, and also a exercise we will go into further in a moment. The brand association exercise is also very valuable in the Metaverse. The second one being that the Metaverse must be prepared with elements and processes that create a starting point for when you jump into the Metaverse. So you can't just create an endless space and expect people to work through the design thinking process on their own. In our prototype, we have made some pre-made exercises, that being a negative brainstorm and also the brand association exercise. The third one is that the Metaverse must exploit the potential of the virtual world and not just be a replica of the real world. So that was kind of the thing I was starting about saying. You have to create an extra layer of value, and for example, in the brand association exercise, we have put an unusually large Coca-Cola can, for example, in just floating around in the space, and that would be to create sort of like a gimmick that would make people to think outside the box and to make people be more creative. The fourth one is that the Metaverse must equip the user to be able to use the technology. The first time people jump into virtual reality or the Metaverse, it could be quite a different experience, just learning how can I walk around in here and how can I draw things or grab this pen even. So we have created a failure room in our prototype where they have to go through a crisscross game, just to take something that they're familiar with in real world and put it into the virtual world, just to have the focus on something they know and are familiar with, just so they can play around with technology and get a success experience. And if we have to put these findings into how can InnoHow then scale their business using the Metaverse, they can do it by something called concentric diversification, which is creating a whole new product and also adapting it to a whole new market, but still related to the core competences. So that's actually what we have found in our project, and we hope it gave some sort of idea of where we are moving in these innovational processes in the Metaverse. But we have time for some questions, I think, or at least we're here afterwards as well.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What we're going to do with respect for